What's good, family? This is your boy, D Rose of the Supremely Black Podcast. Just gonna dive right into it. We've all seen the charges that were all dismissed by Kyle Rittenhouse. For the people that follow me, for the people that may be new and catching this video for the first time, this is exactly why when I dropped the video earlier in the week, I told us to be prepared for this thing to happen, for him to be dismissed of all the charges. I wouldn't be surprised if what's next. It's almost you're preparing yourself for what could potentially happen with the Ahmaud Arbery case as well. But these two cases are completely different. And not because Kyle Rittenhouse killed people that weren't black. Yes, they were there for the Jacob Blake shooting and protesting. But what this has just pretty much showed you is that America, or the country that we all live in, has always created a system that is strictly for them. This is why it's very, very, very important for us not to get emotionally attached to these particular cases, especially when it doesn't immediately impact our people or our plight. And I say that because of this. I noticed something at the end of when they had made the decision to say that he was going to walk free. I immediately thought about what we had referenced in our previous videos of why we shouldn't be emotionally attached to it. They immediately found Jacob Blake's uncle that was outside ready for it. Even he knew in his heart that it wasn't going to be a verdict of anything being found guilty once they threw out that charge of him not having a gun illegally, when we all seen him carrying an AR-15 at the age of 17, which is illegal, right? So the reason why I come to you all today is that when you think about that in this ruling, this is why it's so very important that as we think about the system, we think about how we could also empower our own to prevent things like this from occurring and us relying on the system to provide us justice. Because I'm in 1,000 group chats, talked to a lot of different people today, and the sad and the harsh reality is that nobody was surprised by it. But I also want to leave this message to my people that follow us, and anybody that's, like I said, if they're new, salute and thank you for listening. But when you go to these protests now, moving forward, this should definitely give you an indicator that you should not just be coming out there playing. And by that, I mean, it's all good to come and have a peaceful protest. But if you are ever met with someone that didn't come for peace, this is the outcome that they are going to stand behind it occurring. And if there is a court case, you're going to have to go ahead and deal with the fact that they're going to walk away free from it because they've just shown us this live example. So when we go out there to those protests, make sure you're very intentional. If you are protesting, make sure you go with somebody that doesn't mind being militant or protecting you, so you can use your peaceful stick and you fight for your justice. You do whatever you want to do. But it's very, very important that, one, when you go for these things, be intentional. Get what I'm saying? Like, don't just move and think that everybody's coming there for, hey, we're all here for peace. If that was the case, you wouldn't have to be out there marching for it. It would already be a code of conduct of knowing that if anybody violates human rights, that they should be handled accordingly. You don't have to protest for things that occur with everyone. If you got to protest for a police officer shooting unarmed black man, I'm with you, but to make sure that you have yourself protected, because at the end of the day, there are people on the opposite side that believe that this is a true act of being a patriot. They didn't see anything wrong with it. They're never going to see anything wrong with it. This has always been the system that is going to protect them. So instead of us allowing them to harvest our energy, and trust me, this is something that I've actually battled with myself, and just trying to do the right thing and making sure that we do push our people forward and not being selfish. But we have to make sure that we don't allow them to harvest our energy to take everything that we're wanting to do and really focused on to get caught up in court cases. They will drop things like this purposely when we are getting to a point that we're moving in a unified way. It's never going to be perfect. I'm not expecting it to. This message is not even for it to be perfect, but I want to make sure that the people that support us over here at the Supremely Black Podcast, that we're very mindful that do not allow things like this to harvest your energy. These are energy harvesting things that are going to keep us distracted on what we should truthfully be fighting on. They're going to give you the race bait. This is clearly race bait. We still have the Ahmaud Arbery case, but in the meantime, as you're joining with your family, as you're joining with your people of business, people in your community, make sure that we're mindful of these events, because you need to be mindful of them, but you're also prepping to how can we remove ourselves further away from this system that does not require for us to depend on it for merely anything outside of invading it, putting what we need into it to get what we want out of it, to continue to push away from it, but to allow it to take our energy, to take our focus off of what's important. We're going to be fighting an uphill battle. And I don't see it changing. It probably never will change in a sense of them changing their system just for us. The only wish that we have is that within ourselves, we really establish the Black Panther, Black Power, but the Black Panther movement. Like, we would have to really, really get back to that to make sure that we are being mindful of our plight, our goal, our direction, and not allow our energy to be sucked out by cases for them, by them, to distract us. Again, this is your boy D Rose from the Supremely Black Podcast. Make sure you tap in, hit that like button, share with like minds if you're rocking with the content. Make sure you subscribe, but I'm out.